Hi, my name is Zach Simmons, and this is Pro Football Today. So today we're going to be talking about a little bit about the coaches that were just hired earlier this week. We're also going to take a look at my predictions for what this week of divisional round of playoffs holds for us. So let's take a look through the coaches first. 3 coaches were hired this week. 3 coaches. Mike McCarthy going to Dallas, Mark Rule going to Carolina, and then finally Joe Judge going to the New York Giants. So looking at Dallas, they hired Mike McCarthy. I like this hire. I really do. I said before, Jerry Jones is going to find someone who doesn't have a large personality, isn't going to try to take over the team, because this is Jerry's team, remember. This is the Joneses' team. This isn't whoever coaches, any coach that they hire. It's not their team. It's Jerry's team. So I see that a little bit with Mike McCarthy. I know McCarthy kind of wants to hold on to the reins a little bit more, but he doesn't have a strong personality. I think it makes a lot of sense. Kind of like a Jason Garrett. I'll do whatever type of a thing. But the difference is Mike McCarthy has a track record. Jason Garrett never had a track record, but Mike McCarthy does. I have to admit, being a Bears fan, this is a guy that I feared every single twice a year. This is a guy that I have feared. He's a good coach. Don't take a look at the last 2 years with Green Bay. I'm not sure what was going on there, but if you take a look at everything before that, Mike McCarthy is one good coach. So he's someone that I think he'll let Jerry kind of do his thing, but he'll win football games. He'll win football games, and that's really what Jerry wants right now, because they have a very, very good team, one of the best teams in the league, to be honest. If they were in the playoffs, I would say this is a very good team. This is a team that has a very good chance of making the Super Bowl. But they were not able to win games. When you have such a good roster like that, it comes down to coaching. And I think everyone could agree that Jason Garrett was not that great of a head coach. Why the Giants even gave him a shot there in New York, I really don't know. But he's not that good of a head coach. Mike McCarthy, though, he's got the track record to prove. He's got a Super Bowl ring, for crying out loud. He can win games. He can win games. Excuse me. Now, Carolina that hired Mark Rule. I have to admit, I don't watch a whole lot of college football. I don't really have a whole lot of information on Mark Rule. The one thing I can say is that the NFL is definitely different from college. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes from college to the NFL. Even some of the greats, Nick Saban, did not translate well going from NCAA to NFL. Some coaches, they do. They do a very good job. But we do know this. Carolina, they like him. 7-year deal. 7-year deal. Tepper, this is his guy. He got rid of Ron Rivera because Ron wasn't his guy. He wanted his own guy in there. He had the Panthers had an off year. They had an excuse to let Ron Rivera go and pick up a guy that he wanted. And we'll see exactly what Mark Rule can do. Joe Judge goes to the New York Giants. Joe Judge, part of the Belichick tree. Now this is one that's going to be very interesting. You may say, well, why did they pass up on Josh McDaniels? This guy has been a coaching candidate for the last couple seasons. This has been one of those guys that people have thought maybe this guy could be a head coach. The problem is, it's hard to name one coach, or at least more than one coach from the Bill Belichick tree. There's a lot of coaches from the Bill Belichick tree. I can think of only one who's had success. One that's stayed with the team more than 5 seasons. That's Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien's done a very good job there in Houston. Some will say not enough. Houston's been a good team. Hasn't been a Super Bowl caliber team. They've been able to make it to the playoffs constantly. Been able to win division. But they haven't really been able to go past the playoffs. Haven't really been able to do a whole lot in playoffs. But other than that, Josh McDaniels didn't have a good tenure there in Denver. Eric Mangini, Romeo Crennel, Matt Patricia, Brian Flores almost had the first pick overall. So not a very good track, and there's more than that. But not a very good track record there for the Bill Belichick tree. So it'll be interesting. Will he join Bill O'Brien as being another exception to the rule, or will he be just like every other coordinator, anyone, or every other coach that's come from Bill Belichick? That they become a head coach and it just does not work out. Be interesting to see. Hopefully it does, for the Giants' sake. I really hope it works out. But we'll see exactly what happens. Time will tell exactly who is the best hire. You may say, well, it's Mike McCarthy, well, it's Ron Rivera. You never know. You never know. Those guys could have been busts. You could be seeing Mark Rule or Joe Judge or whoever the Browns hire as being the best coach. But let's look at the Browns for a second. Let's look at the Browns. They didn't hire anyone. People thought they were going to hire Josh McDaniels. They didn't. They chose not to, or at least pause. They've always been cautious. They haven't been just sleeping. We're going to hire this guy. We're going to hire this guy. It's always been careful consideration, which makes you think they're going to hire the best guy possible. But they end up getting the one guy you're thinking, but why? Why him? So before you say Josh McDaniels to Cleveland, it ain't going to happen. Why is it not going to happen? Because it makes sense. He's obviously the best coaching candidate there. It makes sense. You want Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels is the best head coaching candidate. You'll get him. He can change the Browns franchise around. But they won't, because it just makes sense. The one that really sounds like a Browns move is hiring Brian DeBall, offensive coordinator from the Bills. He's done a very good job. Don't get me wrong. He's done a very good job as a coordinator. In a few seasons, I think you'll see him as a head coaching candidate. But right now, he's had success for a season. Josh Allen's looked good. He's looked very good under him. But, I mean, for one season like that, the season deserves to go straight to head coach. I get Matt Nagy went through the exact same thing. 1 year as a play caller, but he was around for a while. A lot of teams looked at him. The Browns are the only team to have interviewed Brian DeBall. So I think the guy's going to be a good head coach. But I can see the Browns thinking, he's had one good season, we'll try him out. Look at all the guys they've gotten. That's basically their rap. Freddie Kitchens, well, here's an office coordinator for half a season. That worked out. Let's hire him. Hugh Jackson did have some good experience. They were at the Bengals. They did a very good job with the Bengals. But take a look at his tenure with Oakland. Not very good. Cleveland looked at that and said, okay, coordinator's pretty good. He has head coaching experience. Terrible head coaching experience, but he has head coaching experience. Let's get him. Look at the last few hires. None of their hires have made sense. Still no one knows why in the world they would hire Freddie Kitchens. You say, well, Baker Mayfield loved him. But the team actually drew success from Greg Williams. You can argue that maybe Greg Williams should have been the head coach. Excuse me. And not Freddie Kitchens. So what will the Browns do? Something that makes no sense, and they'll fire him in 2 seasons. That's what the Browns do. That's exactly what the Browns do. So I'm hoping Josh McDaniels, because I'm just waiting for the Browns to turn on. They've got the team right now. Why they let go of John Dorsey, I really don't know, but they got the team. Make it work. Right now, the only piece that's missing is the head coach. Hire a coach who knows what he's doing, and Browns can actually make it to the playoffs next year. But we'll see exactly what happens. More than likely, they'll hire the one guy that everyone's thinking, but why? So take a look at playoffs. Let's go through the playoffs. All right, so let's take a look. The NFC, we have Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings going against Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco will win this game. Why? Minnesota just won. They just beat up the Saints. Saints, crazy good team. But the Saints can never play in the clutch. When it comes to the playoffs, they cannot win. That's been their rap for the last few seasons. But San Francisco, though, yes, this is a young team. This offense, well, the defense has been carrying them. It's not been the offense that's been winning the games. It's not been Jimmy G. And everyone's saying, well, look at Jimmy G. He's got the record. Yeah, but if he didn't have that defense, he wouldn't be where he's at. In fact, you might be saying his name right next to the word bust. Um, but this defense has been incredible. It's a young team. A lot of times that means they're not going to win a lot of playoff games. Why? Because there's so much attention on them. There's so much pressure. It's a must-win situation. San Francisco hasn't had a lot of must-win situations. They did against Seattle. But once again, if they lost, they're still in the playoffs. They're just going to play at home. They have to play one extra game. They haven't had must-win situations for the most part this season. This is a must-win situation. They lose this game, they're done. They can only think about next season. Lament over what the season could have been and move on. But this defense is so good, and I don't think Kirk Cousins is that good of a quarterback. Given, I don't think Jimmy G is that great of a quarterback either. But it comes down to defense. Who has the best defense? What defense will show up? It's going to be San Fran showing up over Minnesota. Both of them have very good defenses, but San Francisco's defense is better. San Francisco wins the game. Now, Tennessee, Baltimore. I love Tennessee. They did beat up the Patriots. It was great. Tannehill did not have that great of a game, but Derrick Henry was amazing. They lose against the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, how can you say Lamar Jackson's going to lose to Ryan Tannehill? Jackson's been great. Once again, this is a young team. Very young team. They haven't been together for a long time. So it's going to create some issues. Lamar Jackson didn't look that great in the playoffs last season, but they've changed the scheme around him. It's a different scheme than what he played before. You can say, well, he played awful against the Chiefs. He at least played decent. Wasn't really that great, but this is a different scheme. This is a different scheme. Watch Lamar run all over Tennessee. Tennessee's got a good defense. It's not a great defense. It isn't an elite defense. It's a good defense. But Lamar Jackson can have a field day against them. I see this being a blowout, not because Tennessee is so bad they shouldn't be in this round of the playoffs. No, Tennessee deserves to be in the divisional round. They've done a very good job. Tannehill's done a very good job leading this team. But it's Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens. They're so good. And I'll admit I was wrong about them. I'll admit that. I was wrong about them in preseason. This is a very good team. I think the best in the NFL right now. How can you say Lamar Jackson's going to lose against Ryan Tannehill? I'd take Baltimore. Now let's take a look at Sunday's games. Sunday's games, we have Houston and Kansas City. Houston has said they're a good team. They're a great team. Deshaun Watson has looked fantastic, but this is not a Super Bowl caliber team. I don't think they're going to beat Kansas City. Kansas City is still thinking of last year when they could have made the Super Bowl. They had the Super Bowl in their hands, but they shot themselves in the foot. They had penalties late in the game, allowed Tom Brady to do his thing, get a last-second score. They're not going to let Deshaun Watson do that this year. They're not going to let Deshaun Watson get that. It's going to be Kansas City's game. They're going to beat the Texans. And it's not going to be Deshaun Watson's fault. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be Deshaun Watson. A lot of it goes with the coaching. Bill O'Brien said he's got success, but not too much success. Not as much success as he probably should get. But Kansas City, they've been phenomenal. Kansas City goes to the conference playoffs, goes against Baltimore. Now, the last game, Green Bay against Seattle. Now, I'm not saying this as a Bears fan. I'm not saying this because I have a hatred towards the Packers. This is just what I think is going to happen. Seattle will beat Green Bay. Why? It comes down to quarterback. Who's got the better quarterback right now? I'd take Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers this year. If you asked me that question a few years ago, I would have said Aaron Rodgers hands down. I love Russell Wilson, but Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback. This year has not been necessarily elite. He's been good. He has been good. You can say great. But Russell Wilson's been elite. Russell Wilson has been amazing this season. And a lot of it does come down to weapons. Wilson has better weapons than Aaron Rodgers does. Yes, Rodgers has Aaron Jones. Yes, Rodgers has Devontae Adams, but those last few receivers, Geronimo Allison, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, they really haven't been that good. The one guy that's looked good is James Kumaro. I don't know why they don't play him enough. James Kumaro is a very good receiver. But Seattle, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Marshawn Lynch. Gotta go Seattle. Even though Lynch isn't what he used to be. And, he did bowl his way into the end zone last week. I think you're going to see a little bit this week. I'd take Seattle over Green Bay. So I do have some predictions for the conference playoffs. So this is how things go. You have Seattle versus San Fran. You have KC at Baltimore. What's going to happen? Well, I think San Francisco, they're going to fall apart. It's a young team. They're a young team. They're going to fall apart. Seattle's going to make the Super Bowl. So going from a year ago, everyone's saying it's a rebuild year. The Seahawks, it's going to be a few years before they can make it to the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl. They're going to make it to the Super Bowl here in the 2019 season. Now the AFC, we have Ravens against Chiefs. Who's going to win? Well, it can't be the young team. I just said San Francisco is going to lose because they're a young team. It can't be the young team of the Baltimore Ravens. It should be the Kansas City Chiefs, right? The Chiefs are a more established team. The Chiefs are going to easily make it. I mean, you just said they're going to make sure they don't lose against Deshaun Watson. They're going to make sure they don't lose against Lamar Jackson, right? No, Baltimore's just so good. Baltimore is just so good. And Lamar Jackson right now has been almost unbeatable. Defenses don't know how to stop him. I'd take Lamar Jackson over Pat Mahomes. Baltimore Ravens over the Chiefs. Baltimore versus Seattle. That's my prediction. I'm not going to go too much in depth. I'm not going to have my Super Bowl winner just yet. Things can happen. If everything stayed the same, no one else got hurt, it's going to be one fun game to watch. But at that point, Russell Wilson versus Lamar Jackson, maybe I will do a prediction right now. Maybe I will. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks do beat out Lamar Jackson. I just have that feeling. I can't give you a reason why. I just have that feeling that Russell Wilson will beat out Lamar Jackson. Now, things can change. Guys can go down. Who knows? One of those two quarterbacks might not be there. Things can happen. Things can change. But if everything stays the same, that's what I'm going with. Seattle wins the Super Bowl against Baltimore. But we still have 2 weeks of football left to play. So we'll see exactly what happens. Catch me next week. I'm going to go through some predictions. We'll go through the Browns hire. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day.